Who hasn't enjoyed a walk through the woods at some point? It's a perfect plan to spend time and relax. But as hard as it may seem to believe, some trees are too dangerous to get too close to. In this video, you'll see some plants that you should never touch. We'll show you fruits that explode like grenades, trees that kill any bird that perches on them, others capable of singing and whistling, and plants whose poison would drive anyone crazy with pain. An innocent walk in the woods no longer seems so safe. Join us to learn about the most dangerous plants on the planet. Number 1. Coconut palm. There are statistics indicating that an average of 150 people die each year due to coconuts falling on their heads from a great height. But fortunately, this information is false. It's mistakenly fueled by a group of activists who protect sharks as it favors them when compared to the 10 deaths per year caused by this animal. Now, this doesn't mean that coconuts are harmless. A coconut weighs approximately 2 kilograms. If it were to fall from a height of 24 meters onto a person's head, the falling speed would reach 80 kilometers per hour and the impact force would be equivalent to the weight of a ton. There are records of accidents caused by coconuts that fell from distances much lower than this and ended up with people hospitalized, with several head and shoulder injuries. Some deaths have even been reported due to accidents with this fruit. In Hawaii, in 1973, a child lost his life while playing in a square because of a coconut that fell on his head. Another fatal accident occurred in Queensland, Australia in 2002. As a result, Australian authorities decided to remove all coconut palm trees from those beaches. Coconut palm trees are not a good place to relax and take a nap if you don't want to run any risk. Number 2. Suicide plant sting. Not only trees can be dangerous, but there are also truly terrifying plants out there. This dark green plant with heart-shaped leaves seems like the perfect complement to a nice bouquet of flowers. However, we're talking about the suicide plant sting, a plant that grows in Australian lands and didn't earn its name by pure chance. Its leaves are covered with a type of white fuzz that is actually poisonous spines. These spines release moridin, a very powerful neurotoxin that causes unimaginable pain to anyone who receives it. The worst part is that the pain doesn't go away since this venom doesn't break down over time. Moridin victims suffered for days, months, or even years if they can't remove the spines from their skin. Rumor has it that when a horse gets stuck by this plant's spines, the pain the venom produces is so intense that they seem possessed. The poor animals run towards cliffs to end their pain. Marina Hurley, an entomologist and ecologist who dedicated herself to studying this plant, claimed that the pain from these stings was similar to being burned by chemical acids and electrocuted at the same time. Others have described it as the equivalent of receiving 30 wasp stings. Just standing outside the suicide plant sting is a great danger since its spines are so fine that they could break off with the wind and end up in your respiratory system. Number 3. Poisoned oranges. On the outside, this tree looks like an innocent orange tree. Its fruits could easily be confused with an edible citrus fruit. On the inside, things look a little different. A few bites of this fruit could be the last ones you take in your life. We're talking about a tree that grows in the tropical forests of India and Southeast Asia, commonly known as strychnine tree. Its main poison is strychnine, distributed throughout the tree but mostly concentrated in the seeds. Large amounts of this poison could cause uncontrollable contractions in skeletal muscle. Your muscles would start to contract and flex involuntarily, making your body adopt a bridge pose without being able to straighten out. It's not a beginner's yoga pose. Without control over your body, you run the risk of dying from suffocation due to the constant pressure on your head. But even though it's so dangerous, its venom was very useful in preventing the spread of the bubonic plague in some areas of India and Asia. The European rats that transmitted this lethal disease were decimated by trying to feed on the poisoned oranges, avoiding the human population from being affected by the bubonic plague. Today, this tree has become one of the main sources of rat poison. Now that you know about the fruits of strychnine tree, you'll think twice before picking an orange from a tree, won't you? Before we continue watching, I remind you to subscribe to our channel so you won't miss our upcoming videos. If you like this content, share it with your friends and family. Give the video a thumbs up and let's keep getting to know the most dangerous plants on our planet. You may have one of them in your own garden and don't even know it. Number 3. The singing tree. Amid a tranquil landscape full of plants in the equatorial east of Africa, a strange and terrifying whistle ruins the peace of the savannas. What's even more frightening is that it's not a sound that comes from any animal. The responsible for these sounds is the Acacia drepanalobium, which can grow up to 5 meters high. This plant also has the ability to spread sideways, with its branches full of spines that can reach 7 centimeters long. Since the base of these spines is hollow, it becomes the home of various types of insects. There is a particular species of red ants that maintain a symbiotic relationship with this tree. The ants use the hollows of its spines to build their nests and at the same time protect the tree from possible intruders. The attacks of these ants generate immediate burning and pain, which later turns into irritation and extreme itching on the skin. The discomfort caused by these bites can last for a few days. Red ants are excellent workers. In a couple of years, they manage to completely hollow out the branch they inhabit and then move to a new one. The wind filters through these old abandoned branches, producing a creepy whistle. If you hear this horrendous whistle in the middle of your excursion through the African savannas, you know it's not any animal willing to attack you, but still, it's better to stay away from the singing trees. Number 5. Explosive fruit. It's better to keep your hands away from the tree we will see next if you don't want to get hurt. In the tropical regions of the United States, the yellow ceiba tree grows, which can grow up to 30 meters high. It is also known as a non-climbing tree. Because its bark is covered with sharp spines 3 centimeters long, making it impossible for any animal to try to climb it. As if the spines were not enough, the tree also secretes a type of sap that is extremely irritating. If it were to accidentally enter your eyes, the sap could blind you. This tree definitely has a way to defend itself. But why does it need to protect itself so much? Well, the yellow ceiba tree has small fruits very similar to pumpkins, which contain seeds inside. These seeds are covered by hard capsules that when they reach the ground explode, scattering the seeds at an incredible speed of up to 240 kilometers per hour. The explosion causes the seeds to germinate far from the parent tree, which is beneficial as the new trees grow in fertile and vacant soils. Locals say that the explosion of these seeds sounds as loud as gunshots. It seems like nature created its own grenades, right? Better stay away from the firing line. Number 6. The killer tree. Returning to the Caribbean, we come across another one of the world's most dangerous trees. We're talking about the Pisonia, whose thick canopies attract a wide variety of birds to nest on its branches. Many plants depend on animals to disperse their seeds and to grow with enough resources away from the parent plant. The Besonia is no exception, and as a strategy, it releases sticky seeds to adhere to birds' feathers. But something went very wrong with this ingenious strategy. The seeds are too sticky, and as a result, birds become unable to move and fly. With up to 200 seeds stuck in their plumage, finally the poor birds die of fatigue or hunger or become an easy prey for predators. Perhaps the tree's seed mechanism was useful for deterring predators that have already gone extinct, or is a genetic evolution that has gone too far. Whatever the cause, scientific studies conducted on Besonias have shown that the sticky seed strategy does not serve the plant at all today. It only leaves a large number of dead birds around. Who knows? Maybe it is just a plant that hates birds. Number 7. The Death Apple. If you're looking for shade in the middle of Caribbean beaches, no matter how much you're suffering from the heat, you should not approach these trees. The death apple earned its nickname for being recognized as the most poisonous tree on the planet. But don't worry, they're usually marked with red bands on Caribbean beaches to warn unsuspecting tourists. So if you see a tree marked with red colors, run away from there. But why is this plant so dangerous? Well, it is due to the release of a milky white sap that is extremely irritating to the skin, causing severe blisters and even second-degree burns. Even a single drop that falls into your eye could make you blind. On rainy days, it becomes extremely dangerous to stand under these trees since the sap dilutes with water, creating a kind of acid rain. And if the rainwater and sap evaporate, the gases could burn your lungs when you inhale them. This tree is so dangerous that locals mark each tree to avoid fatal accidents. The death apple gets its name because the fruit it produces is very similar to an apple, but a bite from it could be the last thing you do in your life. A British tourist took a bite of the death apple during her vacation. Within seconds, she began to feel unbearable pain in her throat, so intense that she could not swallow, and it did not decrease until several hours later. Despite the pain, she was very lucky. Other people have tried death apples, suffering from blisters in their mouth and serious digestive problems. If you're going on vacation to the Caribbean, remember that it is better to buy your fruits instead of taking them from trees on beaches. Number 8. Shipworms. So far, everything we've shown you has probably made you feel scared, but I can assure you, what you will feel next will be more related to disgust. We're talking about shipworms. Technically, they're not worms, they actually belong to the family of saltwater mollusks. This species inhabits structures or pieces of wood that are close to the sea. They're often found on docks and ships, or simply in any place where wood comes into contact with salt water. They grow as larvae inside wooden structures, feeding and creating long tunnels that weaken the structures. These worms can be very dangerous as the deteriorated structures they inhabit can collapse or end up in shipwrecks, releasing a disgusting amount of white and slimy worms. Although it may be difficult to understand, in the Philippines, these mollusks are considered a gastronomic delicacy. They are collected in mangrove areas, although it can become a dangerous activity as the wood could collapse on the collectors. Would you try this strange delicacy? Now that you know the most dangerous trees and plants on the planet, will you get closer to them? Have you heard of any of them before? Do you know of any other dangerous plants? Share your answers with us. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up And if you haven't subscribed yet, do it now. You won't want to miss our upcoming videos. Hit the YouTube notification bell to be the first one to know every time we release a new video. Thank you very much.